Facebook's new Twitter clone is made to fail because that is the only way it will succeed. Let me explain. First, I'm going to start off with how Mark Zuckerberg designed Threads to be a one-hit wonder and exactly how its failure makes more money than it's succeeding. Mark Zuckerberg is not dumb and he knows how social media works. Though he intends for Threads to fail, it first needs to rack up over 100 million downloads. It's no secret that after the Twitter takeover, Elon Musk has been under heat every single change he makes. And while it doesn't last very long when everyone realizes they can still ban the people he unbans, it still causes a temporary boycott. This time, Elon Musk induced a rate limit to prevent bot scraping where AI companies compile information from people to train their own ChatGPT copies. Again, people freaked out, but this time they had a platform to turn to. Comedically, Threads had released at the same time the Twitter boycott happened, and large pools of users rushed to the new platform. And while it seemed cheap, it had worked with over 10 million users downloading it within the first 7 hours. Notice how I keep mentioning downloading and not actually signing up. This is because those who have already created an Instagram account have a Threads account. This isn't like Google where you can create a new account but use Google as a key. When switching to Threads, all your followers and following switch as well. Unlike other Twitter clones, this one already has an audience. Soon enough, more and more people joined, propelling it to over 100 million users in the first week of its release. But there are two main reasons why it will die. The first is pretty obvious though. It's a Twitter clone without any Twitter features. Looking at the UI, it is indistinguishable from Twitter, going as far as to keep the same doc format. It's kinda hilarious. And while it does sure look like Twitter, it does not act like it. While Zuck is right that there is no rate limit, which actually might not be true, it also doesn't have a lot of things. Like the trending page. While people use Twitter to figure out what everyone's talking about, on Threads, there's only your feed. During Elon's takeover, while there were some hiccups, he announced some amazing benefits for creators, like memberships and subscription feeds, but most importantly, ad revenue sharing. While Threads doesn't even show ads, some creators like MrBeast are making more than $25,000 a month on Twitter. This sort of infrastructure is the thing that will lead to the collapse of Threads. But even before that takes into play, I believe another factor will wipe Threads out, and it has to do with their branding. Twitter has a name for being a toxic environment and a place to argue with what seems like the whole planet. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg is saying Threads will be a constructive and positive environment. While this may be true for the time being, it will not be in the future. Anywhere where there is free speech, there is argument. Even some YouTubers are starting to notice this change. Watch a clip of this skit by Ryan George.
Exactly, so like 100 million people signed up for Threads in its first few days because it's not a toxic cesspool like Twitter. Oh, it isn't? No, it'll probably take a week or so to get to that point. Got it.
While this is in its early stages, once it becomes widespread, people will again realize the potential of Twitter. Till then though, it will already be too late. While it is impossible to predict when and how this breakdown will happen, the results of it are already apparent. As mentioned before, Threads use your Instagram account to tie both your Instagram and Thread together. But the tie is stronger than you may think. In order to delete your Threads account, you must also delete your Instagram account. Why would that be necessary at all if not to keep your app downloaded? While users might go back to Twitter, they won't delete Threads, and that is all Zuckerberg needs. I'm sure most of you are aware of Facebook's privacy issue, where not only can third parties take your information, but so does Facebook itself, to the point where they have sold users this information. I think the same thing is happening here. These are the permissions that Thread has. And while some may be normal, it's crazy that two of the sections are literally health and fitness and sensitive data. This is not normal and it is not okay. How can the general public know what they're doing with the data? In fact, we don't even know what data they're collecting due to it being under sensitive info. It seems very risky to go to a site that doesn't tell you what they're tracking. But why does Zuckerberg want to kill the app? It is to stay under the radar. After Threads becomes relevant, it will still be on people's phones, but no one will care or even realize what is happening. Whereas if it were huge, Meta could face massive backlash. This will allow Meta to silently scrape more data that's not even on their platform but your whole phone, then sell it to advertisers or use it for their own advertising to increase conversions and make money in the long run. That is why Mark Zuckerberg will succeed by Threads failing.